Wow, that's nice.
I don't think there's those. You can either come down with the dog or if you can walk me.
You know what, I'll find it.
Welcome back, Jelly Visionaries. We're glad you're here.
Oh, God, I just barely made it, but yeah, I'm glad I'm here too.
You just ran right in the door, all sweaty.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, oh my God, and your dog doesn't help either. Goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh, Jelly Visionaries. I gained 120 pounds last week.
What?
Yes, in the form of a dog de Bordeaux.
Okay, what does that mean?
That is the proper term for the French Mastiff.
Mastiff, those are massive.
Oh my gosh, he's so big. He started off as a foster dog with us, and through the rescue group Nova Pets Alive, which is a local rescue group around here, and we were supposed to have him temporarily, and we had found what we thought was a great home for him, and we took him, he got picked up for the adoption event where he was going to meet his new family and go home with them. We were in the car on our way to the Outer Banks for spring break. We're halfway to the Outer Banks when the rescue group messages me and says that the new family's dog, their existing dog, did not like Meatball, the French Mastiff. So it wasn't meant to be. And then they had a backup application, and those people apparently were just not good people. They didn't like them at all, and so then they asked if we would be interested in keeping Meatball, and we had become quite fond of this beast, which you met today, Tim.
Okay.
And you're afraid of him.
Yes. I started watching She-Ra because my girlfriend loves She-Ra, and she kind of like rides this like giant beast, kind of like He-Man.
Yes.
And you basically have that living in your house.
He is a giant beast.
Yes.
Yes, but he's very sweet. He's very friendly. He's goofy. But if you just meet him for the first time, you might be a little intimidated by him because his head is
the size of a trash can.
Yeah. So look up Dog de Bordeaux or French Mastiff. If you've watched Turner and Hooch.
Hooch.
That movie, I think from the 80s.
Doesn't that have like?
It's the same dog.
Tom Hanks, a young
I think
Tom
so.
Hanks.
I think it is Tom Hanks.
I think it is.
Anyway, so Hooch, it's the same breed of dog. You don't see a lot of them around, so.
Hooch, also an alcoholic beverage, apparently, at the same time, right? Hooch?
Oh, it's like a
drink the hooch?
slang term
yeah.
for whiskey?
Yeah. He's got a hooch. He's on the hooch. Gosh. Oh, my God. There's your dog's giant. Real quick, rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy just passed away. Big stand-up comedian.
Somebody else died today, and I just drew a blank, but somebody that was fairly young, in their early 50s. A famous person. I'm so sorry.
Let's leave that obituary blank.
Sorry.
Just draw a stick figure.
Came across my Facebook feed, and I was surprised to hear of their death and felt very badly, but now I don't remember who it is.
I hate when people come across my Facebook feed.
A lot of death.
It's gross. Yes.
I'm tracking with you.
We did it. Okay, so we're here. We're in the Love Shack studios. We're happening.
We're here. If you've been a long-time listener of the show, you may remember back, I don't know, maybe a year or two, you may remember a guest by the name of Matthew Shell.
True. Love that dude.
And we always say that once a friend of the JellyVision show, always a friend.
Always.
And Matthew really embodies that principle. He has remained a friend of the show, and he's continued to connect us with some guests throughout the years. And today is one of those days where he connected us with oh my gosh, this is another guest that is so many things, so many wonderful things.
Today is the day!
Wrapped up in one. He's a lyricist, a pianist, a percussionist, a guitarist, bassist, singer, Native American flautist, very specific.
Yes.
Mandolinist, banjoer. Nope, I checked, it's the banjo. I'm reading his notes here. Anyway, he is
Wait a second, also the ukulele.
Yes. An all-around musician. He's also doing some good around the world, and we wanted to talk to him today because he's a world traveler, And I'm really curious, not being a world traveler myself, how being a world traveler sort of affects your worldview, your art, your creativity, your music, and what you want to do with it. So please welcome Musa to the JellyVision Show. Yay!
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Absolutely.
You can put your golden robe right there. That's fine.
Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. And the
Right
scepter
here?
over there. Yeah, right there, but beside the Remy Martin.
So Musa, I want to know, what is the most important thing that you would like people to know about you?
Wow, the most important thing I would like people to know about that I love first. I love them first. That would be one of the things I would say.
Love the fans.
No, love the fans, love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, that's such a wide open question.
And deep.
Right?
Right off the
And
bat.
deep. How deep you want to go? Oh,
It's
man.
like, if your house is on fire, what is the one thing you save?
Yeah, exactly, right? What I would want them to ask the question again? It's a
What's
deep
the
one.
one thing that you'd like people to know about you?
The one thing I'd like people to know about me? Gosh, I love music.
Okay.
I think music is a force of nature that can bring upon fantastic change, both within and without.
So you must have witnessed this.
Well, yeah, primarily from my own experience with music. You know, the effect it's had on me, what the effect I've seen it have on my friends around me. You know, and even like healing natures that have been pretty phenomenal as well. So I think it also, you know, and even some of my experiences have led me to brush up against like jungle medicine, which I'm sure maybe we'll talk about in a little while.
I would love to talk about jungle medicine.
Yeah, it's pretty
Ikaros.
phenomenal.
We're going to say Ikaros by the end of this.
You gotta. I have not done ayahuasca.
Oh,
I haven't either, but I have a friend who has done it
Not
recently.
yet. You have.
And yeah, just I think the vibrational power of music, it kind of connects you to the vibrational force of the universe, and if you can understand that, it's better for you.
Okay, so now for all the ladies that are listening, and a lot of the fellas too, I just want you to know that Samir is a handsome man. He's not Indian. He's actually Lebanese and also Colombian. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you might have thought he was like, he kind of looks like a really attractive Aladdin character. He's got a lot of bangles, a lot of jewelry, a lot of.
But he pulls off, and this is Musa. That's his profession.
Ah.
Like he's one of those musicians that just needs one name. Like Madonna.
And it is true. And I think that I think that the ladies are starting to sense this. I wanted to just front load you a little bit more because Jen did a nice job, and I just wanted to say I think that you ladies are going to really, really, really love this guy. You hear it? Can you hear it?
Jingling.
He's on his way. He's on his way.
There you go.
Okay, so you're somebody that I want to ask. Like when you were growing up, when did you realize that you were a musician, an artist? When did this come to you? You can even tell me I was in the womb. It doesn't matter. Just let me know.
You know, music started to really take a hold on me when I was, 13, 14. Really I started when I was younger than that even, so I was like 7, 8 when I started. But it was about 13 when it started to become like a part of my own expression.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you play an instrument when you were like 7 or 8? Or?
Yeah, guitar. Guitar was what I did.
Okay.
Wow.
Primarily guitar
Coolest
player.
7 or 8 year old ever.
Right. Did you like have your hair like kind of over like one eye? And you're like, no, not right now, no.
Yeah. Just wore shades, not 7 in the morning.
My fingertips are
Yeah.
in pain. The
Exactly.
fingertips are bleeding.
No,
Did you
nothing
consider
like
yourself
that.
a prodigy?
No, not a prodigy. I didn't consider myself a prodigy. But you know, I definitely recognized that what I did had a pretty good effect, like a strong effect on people. So it was a very interesting, expression.
Well, what about your support system? What about your family? Were they encouraging with your music?
Yeah, very musical family, like
cool.
in that they loved music. Did they support me pursuing it? Not so much.
What did they want you to pursue?
Something more traditional.
Is that still
lawyer,
true
medicine.
today?
No, now actually, finally, because of what the music's actually starting to do and accomplish, they're kind of like, okay, they understand.
I guess this is okay.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. You're doing all right with it.
Well, speaking of accomplishments, I don't want this to go without being said. His song, Dance with Destiny, was #2 on Australia's top 15 indie tracks the week of April 11th. which maybe it's still hanging in there on the #2 spot. And that's a song from your band Ambassadors of Mornings, right?
Yeah.
So, but you're the sort of like the lead
Yeah,
songwriter.
I'm the singer-songwriter on it. You know,
Yeah.
I generate the melodies, I write the songs, and then we put them together.
Nice. Oh, that's, I mean, #2 in Australia.
That's the shit, yeah. #2.
Oi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right? It just this week. It's now.
So if you go to Australia tomorrow and walk down the street.
That's what I'm saying. They'll
what
hear
will
him
happen?
jangling those bracelets.
Are you gonna get mobbed by fans?
I don't know.
You're gonna
I should
hear
go
it in the
find out.
grocery store being played over the. You know.
Is the band name Ambassadors of Morning, is that kind of like...
Sunrise, by the
Right.
Sunrise.
way.
Right, so because when you have it written, it's AM, capital AM, like, you know, in the morning,
Right.
and then Ambassadors of Morning. Are you like, is that a play on words?
Well, yeah. It's kind of like a manifestation. I'm pushing hard because of what I felt about music and the vibration, the power, and all that. I want to like take us where I think what things I've seen, you know, which is onto like a higher consciousness.
Like a new beginning, like a morning. I'm thinking like,
a unified vision. You know?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
is that possible?
Yes, it's possible. Absolutely, I have lived it.
I don't. You've lived it.
I've lived it.
You've lived a
I've
unified
been there.
consciousness?
I've lived
Sounds so utopian.
it.
Where was I?
Yeah.
You were that big ass dog.
I missed it. Damn it.
Slobbering everywhere.
Should have gotten up earlier. Alarm didn't go off.
Exactly.
Can you go on about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, like, I think the way I grew up in DC, the way I grew up from, you know, roots coming from different parts of the world, having friends from all over the world, you know, we just kind of existed, and that was it. We were just hanging. We were chilling. There was no conscious, we weren't aware of, like, race by any stretch of the imagination, and everything that you brought that was different was kind of like,
accepted?
Yeah.
oh man, and
It's like add it to the soup.
Add it to the soup, we love it. What, you do that? That's awesome. You know, and then the way we would make jokes would be like to call each other on it, but it was like a fun one.
Okay, what year are we talking about?
I'm talking like early 90s.
Oh, the early
Okay.
90s. Okay,
90s.
so coming out of the 80s.
Marky Markish era.
What is
91,
what's happened?
90.
What's
I don't know
happened
what to say.
us, Lisa? What has happened to us?
Yeah, you know,
Why are we not there
distracting.
anymore?
I mean, first of all, I don't think we were ever there on a planetary way, which is, I feel like, but I felt like there were pockets of it where it was happening.
Right,
And
okay.
I happened to be born into that pocket.
Is it? We are talking about consciousness?
Higher consciousness.
Okay,
Higher
cool.
consciousness.
Okay, cool. That's
That's
what
a better
it
way.
is.
Yeah, or you know, they result in coexistence,
Yeah.
peaceful coexistence. So you know, which is what we're all kind of striving for. Right now, there's so much like tearing each other down division, and it's crazy, right? Yes, it's and
Why?
I'm thankful that because of where I come from, it doesn't really weigh me down
Mm-hmm.
personally, because I just don't come from that, and I've learned to live somewhere else, so to speak. You know, it's like happening in a different place. You know, and so I felt it was a reality, possibility, and that we were kind of inching towards that, and we may have been like on the front lines of that occurrence on a world stage. And I felt like it started to keep on developing. You know, we had, you know, when Obama became president, I was like, this is it. Like, we're moving in this direction.
Right, we're going in the right way.
We're going in the right way. We're going in the right way. And so I just thought that was like yet another expression of that emotion that I felt like I was in that, you know, and that's what I want this music to help bring about.
Do you think the messaging, I'm sorry, Sam,
Go ahead.
do you think the messaging is clear? Like, do you think when people hear your music, they get everything that you want to communicate? Or does that not even matter?
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, who knows how they hear it? That's one of the things, you know, we can both be listening to a
You
piece
don't
of
know.
music and we have no idea how they're
So
going to do it. I know
subjective.
what I'm putting into it.
Mm-hmm.
I do, you know, and it's lyrically and musical. So like I'm putting all of it into the music. Yeah, I think they definitely walk away with like, oh, okay, you know, there's some peace to be found here,
Mhm.
you know, and there's some peaceful understanding.
This music does not make me want to punch somebody in the face.
No, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Calms
precisely.
the puppy down.
So throughout your travels around the world, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've met a lot of other musicians that are
Sure.
really cool.
Oh, great musicians.
So are there any other musicians in other countries that are doing different novel kind of techniques and strategies to get their music out to like the masses? Like, is there somebody in Iceland that's doing something that you know, is different than like what they're doing in Japan? Like, have you seen anything really that you were like, wow, that's crazy. What are they? I can't believe they're doing that. You know?
You know, so much of what's going on today is new to me. You know, in the way that these tools. I was asking, you know, Tim, right?
Yes.
Before the show, like, all right,
About
school me a
Twitter.
little bit about Twitter, because like,
Sure.
I'm on the boat with these other ones. I'm late on that one. So the way that I see these musicians being so creatively unleashed with the use of all of these tools is
Right.
kind of just across the board new for me.
Sure.
You know, the way that they're able to amass all types of, you know, engagement with all of these social medias. You know, I think it's a wonderful thing. Anyone that stands out in particular, not per se. It's
Sure.
all kind of like under a broad stroke of like awesomeness to me.
Well, yeah, because the indie artist, the indie musician, is their own advocate.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not relying on the record company's
Right.
promotional engine. So you have
Yeah.
these social media platforms
Right.
that you can capitalize in, but it's a lot of hard work and dedication
Sure.
to make that actually move the needle in any significant
Matthew
way.
Shell is the bomb. I like what Matthew
Yes,
Shell is
back to
doing.
Matthew.
Yeah, back
Okay,
to
okay.
Matthew, right? Because that guy, he knows exactly what small button to push that kind of unleashes a huge
He
force
does.
of nature. And
I
I'm
don't
like, wow.
know
He just
what
knows-
he's doing, but it's working. He does.
Yeah.
He moves the needle.
He moves the needle. He really does.
He's tuned into like the pulse of like the zeitgeist itself is what I think, and I think that he strikes that, he vibrates well with it.
I think, yeah, and I think it's also partly he's built up a lot of really good karma.
He's a sweet guy.
Yeah, he's very genuine.
Can't overstate karma.
Right. When you first meet him, you're like, nobody's this nice. Come on, what are you hiding?
Mhm.
But no, you get to know him, and he really is that nice, and
Yeah.
he really does look. He's very generous of spirit, and that's what I really wanted to point that out in the beginning. That, you know, like I said, it's been a while since he's been a guest, but he has continued to stay in touch and been a great friend to the show. So I think if you put a lot of good in the world, it does come back tenfold. He's a good example of that.
Yeah, he is.
Wonderful.
And he got us in touch with you and other musicians, and that's just like this really great networking thing. And earlier I was just asking about like if you've ever observed anything happening in like any like communities and whatnot, where you're like, oh man, that's how they disseminate the music.
Right.
Because, you know, being from DC, you see those kids flipping over the paint buckets
Oh, yeah.
and just pounding away, just
Yeah.
like amazing drummers and
Oh,
whatnot.
sure.
And I see some things like that, or I actually just got this new shirt, and it's from one of my favorite streetwear brands.
Bright yellow, and I
It's
love it.
so bright, yes.
Very attractive.
So one of the things that this company did originally when they were starting to break out was they were actually, in their advertisements, they were soliciting artists to send them their music.
Oh, nice.
And then they would just basically find, they listen to everything, they'd find the best songs, and they created a mixtape of all of the entries. And then they take that, and they have a cassette, and when you buy one of the shirts from the company, then you
Yeah.
get a free tape of like,
That's
the
great.
best music.
Yeah.
And it was
Wonderful.
so great because the people that were on these cassettes,
Mhm.
it was like Talib Kweli,
Oh,
Mos Def,
Get out.
High Tech.
Nice.
So,
yeah,
do you know
wonderful.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think, to the question, one of the ironies of being a musician who's all about music is that when you are creating it, you're so immersed in your own expression. It's really hard to like live outside of it, of your own, space, and really dig deep into how these other guys are figuring it all out.
Uh-huh.
Especially as you kind of get older
Right.
and you have time becomes a limiting factor. You don't have that much time I don't have that much time to be exploring the world musically and how everybody are doing things. But when I come across people and conversations and they kind of light me up, that's kind of like my torch of like an indicator of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah,
So like
there's
that's
that,
a wonderful story you just shared.
Oh,
I love that. Because there is that the creative part that you're so good at and passionate about.
Yeah,
and then there's
yeah.
that business marketing piece.
Whole other thing, and that's why
Whole other
I
thing.
love working with people, and I find like I'm a blueprint artist. I can write songs all day, and Nico, the producer, he helped really kind of bring this together and massage it, make
Yeah.
it sound as good as it does. Matthew's coming in and he's like pointing me in all these directions, and like we all just kind of in and out of each other, kind of help, and it's a team, and that's how I live. It's like I don't, I live to be amongst people that are all moving in the same direction. And that's what I try to do and set the course with my music. Is like, this is the direction I want to go in.
Right.
I want to and I try to just move in that direction and amass kind of people.
And
around.
I say this, even if you're not going to come on our podcast, people, get on a podcast. I have a social media agency. That's what I do for a living. So I work with a lot of small businesses, medium businesses on their social media marketing. But one of the things I often put in the marketing plan is, to get on podcasts, because not only do people get to know you like in a long form format,
Right,
but essentially, and this is gonna sound maybe a little crass, but it's a long commercial. It's not really a commercial.
Sure.
And you're tapping into an audience that you might not have had access to in one fell swoop, and it lives on the internet forever.
Wonderful.
So we still have people like that are downloading episodes we've done in 2012.
I thank you for the opportunity to
No,
invite me onto
thank
the
you.
show.
Thank you. And this is not to ask for a thank you, but I think
am
you're
thankful.
smart that you even considered coming to my dining room out in the middle of Fairfax and come on a podcast, because I know it's time consuming. You have your commute time here, commute time back. It's a pain in the ass to do these types of things. But I think you're really smart to put it on your marketing agenda.
Oh yeah. Well, it's also get a chance to meet interesting people.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Now, you talk a lot about the vibrational aspects of music and what they can do. Have you ever done any, I guess, past life
Work?
experience? Have you done that before?
A regression?
I've done that.
You've
Remember?
done it.
I've done
I
it.
know, it's weird.
But
I don't want you to do that again.
it's interesting. So I guess basically you can. There's a theory that everybody's lived multiple lives, and that like you can imagine like each one of those lives is like a manila folder, and then that's sitting in a filing cabinet, and that filing cabinet is like all the lives you've lived, and there's like billions.
I really believe this is true.
And it's fun either way. It's sexy talk. I love it. It's romantic. So we have. We have this vibrational energy and whatnot, and I've had this thing happen where like the guy like goes through and he uses vibrations and stuff to kind of like, I guess, tune into the records, open the drawers, and then pull out your files and talk to you. And if you've never done it, I would say that it's really at the very least interesting. But it leads me to this. Do you listen to binaural beats, or have you experimented with maybe using that in the back of a song?
I'm very aware of what you're talking about.
And can you explain that to the audience?
Yeah. So I have people very close to me engaged in that type of like subconscious work.
Okay.
So they're dealing with a lot of past life regression, or even if it's like you had a dream and you wanted to go back and just kind of
like lucid dreaming.
Or just or just kind of go back and work through a bad dream that you had. So it's all kind of like regression. You gotta get you into that deep subconscious realm. And I think I was talking the other week, like a few days ago, about this, and they were saying that perhaps one of the theories regarding past life regression is that it's all those past lives, that there's only one moment, and that's now. And that when you go back and you're experiencing the past lives, it's actually metaphors. Your subconscious works in metaphors.
Oh,
okay.
Love that.
Right? So when you're visiting that past life and you're seeing yourself as,
the Queen of England.
Thank you. It's it's the subconscious translating your vibration metaphorically.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I never heard that.
I've always been afraid of unlocking a door that should not be unlocked.
Do you mean like Stranger Things, like upside down?
Something like that. Because, when you start, going into your subconscious and your past lives, like, I think some things are best left in the past. Like, what if you open that Pandora's box and you just...
Unleash something.
You unleash something that you can't put back in the box.
But
that's a potential. It really is.
Like when you did your past life, like some really crazy stuff came up, and I'm like, I don't know if that was good.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's totally something to be concerned about when you like enter into these kind of experiences. But at the same time, I just wonder if there's somehow a way that we can maybe synergize the two and bring that to people through music.
Yeah, and off of my first record, so when I was before Ambassadors in Mourning, the group was Sandfly. The first record was called Surprise, and it started off with a track that was called, in parentheses was Om, and then it would go into For the Sun. So like I was tapping in right into like that vibration.
I like that.
Yeah, and and I think that's where I think the unity lies. If we can kind of learn to understand the vibrational part of our existence, right? Because we're so much more than this physical, even our perception, our
consciousness,
our senses are limited.
Okay,
yeah.
You know, like we exist beyond even things that we can see and
Because our
hear.
reality is so limited.
It's so,
when you think
so
of it.
limited, right?
True.
And music unleashes that type of observation and experience. And once you start to get into that space, then you start to kind of, you know, the binary beats and all that
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
You
Yeah.
know
I
what
don't
mean?
think a lot of people can handle this.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't think a lot of people can handle it.
well, that's the idea. So just to put it, you know, that's just the undertone of a lot of what the music is. Then music kind of just lifts you up, and you don't have to think about it on that level. But when you're asking me kind of where do my roots come from?
Yeah.
How does it approach, you know, my sense about music? It's, you know, it's just one of the qualities that I kind of really like.
Musa does not make world music. Musa makes universal music.
Ooh, I like that.
I like it too.
I think that's a nice genre, a nice big genre. So, okay, so I want to go back to the business of your music.
Yeah, sure.
Because I feel like, you know, you definitely have the passion, you have a mission that understates, or, you know, underwrites everything that you do.
Sure. It's a connection I want to make.
Yeah, so where does the money come in?
Like, how is it generated?
Yeah, like, are you making money? Is there a goal? Or is there a business plan involved? Or does it not matter to you?
Yeah, you know, I come from record sales, you know, and
Okay.
I'm really I'm really elated that Australia's really kind of jumping on.
Did you see like
board.
a jump in sales when you hit
I haven't even gotten into that yet. I mean, I haven't received a check.
I'd be on the phone with Australia and be
You
like,
could be
why
like,
am I not number one?
Yeah, right.
Where's my kangaroo?
Where's my kangaroo? So I'm very excited about that. You know, I lit to go down and play. I mean, playing so much fun, people really get off on it. And, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, I get a lot of engagement after the shows, and that's just because it's an experiential thing, right? And so they feel what I'm talking
Yeah.
to you about.
But you have kids, Musa,
But, yeah, yeah.
that eat and
Yeah,
probably going to go to college.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So,
No, so then I opened a music school. So I partnered up with a friend of mine. Yeah, and so
I think I saw that.
yeah,
Bach to
so
Rock?
Bach to Rock.
Nice. So
yeah,
you actually own a Bach to
well,
Rock
I'm partners with the owner.
partner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So you have a business.
Yeah, I have a
that
business,
support-
totally supports the
in
family.
the world
Yeah.
of music
Mhm.
that supports your family, and
Yeah,
then you have
absolutely.
your passion work.
Yeah, which is actually just coming back. I mean, I thought in 2008, you know, I was signed to a label in California. The economy crashed. I went with it.
Yeah,
So I was like, that's
everybody.
it. Everybody, right? So Toy took me down, and I was like, okay, well, it's not going to happen for me. So I kind of came back out here. You know, my wife got a job. We got it settled up. It was great. Like it wasn't great. It was actually the hardest walk down a mountain I've ever had
Yeah,
in my life.
right.
So I'm forever going to be humbled by that experience because that was like hardcore. And then just kind of slowly kind of got my feet back into the world. You know, I kind of started to explore, came across this company, Bach to Rock, started working there, kind of moved my way up, became a music director, met a parent who was like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to open up a school, will you partner with me? I was
Nice.
like, let's go do it, so we did it, and it's doing
Oh,
well.
wow.
Where's it at?
It's in Bristol, Virginia.
Bristol, Virginia.
Bristol,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Bristol.
Part.
Yeah.
There's wineries, I think, out there.
Yeah, it's just on the cusp of like
Do you
Civil War.
live out there?
No, I live in Maryland.
You're all over the place.
I'm all
You
over the
are
place.
worldly. You live in Maryland.
I live in Maryland. Yeah, exactly, right? And so yeah, we went ahead and we did that, and we're about to open up a second school this summer. And
So successful.
it's
Where's
a
the
lot of
second
work.
school going to be?
In Ellicott City, in
I
Maryland.
love Ellicott City.
That's good. It's a good
Yeah.
spot.
Good spot, yeah.
So
just-
historic and.
yeah.
So I love this because we talk about on the show a lot about different ways to
Mhm.
make your dream come true.
Yeah.
And that sounds cheesy, but
It's true.
you found
Yeah.
a way to make it happen. You're doing the thing that really lights your fire, so
Yeah.
to speak. And I'm sure you like the Bach to Rock business too, but it's
Sure.
you're able to juggle
You know,
both and make both happen.
Yeah,
It's
I'm so
great.
grateful. I mean, this is such a natural thing going on, like a natural swell. This new record, and the fact that I'm charting in Australia, it's like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought I was done. I was like, that's it. It's a whole continent. When I engaged with Nico, the producer, I was like, I'd been introduced to him from a mutual friend from the music industry, and but I just wanted him to produce 2 songs for me because I managed to, like, in my giving it all up and saying, all right, I'm done. At least, okay, I'm gonna ask this artist I've been looking up to forever to like record with me, just so I can, like, because we're there, why not? Just do it for me.
Right.
And he said yes, and I was like, okay. So and he did it, got the tracks. I was like, okay, can you just produce these 2 tracks for me? Because I just want to have them sounding nice. I don't want to do the injustice of doing my attempts of production on it. So he goes, okay. And then,
So humble.
and then he just opened up his world to me, and he brought me in and invited me into the studio. And now that this whole resurfacing is like unexpected, and I'm like really elated by it.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it's a
There's something to be said for not being afraid to ask, because you're at that point where you're like, I've got nothing to lose.
nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Like my ship is probably sailed. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
hey, like, will you do this? And then
Yeah.
you get a yes, and you're like, and then these doors open.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's a good lesson for other fellow musicians. And do you have advice for, you know, up and coming indie musicians who have the dream of hitting a top 10 chart in any country that'll have them?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. I was about to say this earlier too, to something that you were saying, and I don't remember where I heard it, but I really kind of liked it. It was like an advice. I'm always looking to elders, I like what elders have to say about life. So I don't want to recreate a wheel. You know, I just want to learn and keep on moving. And they go, it's best to like pick an industry and not a job. You know, so like, you know, don't get obsessed about getting number 10. Get into the music industry.
Very interesting point.
I agree.
Yeah, and then you're in the industry. It's not that, you know, so that would be an advice I would say. Just, you know, pick your industry.
Great advice.
Don't aim for a specific.
That's such a good way to put it. We've talked about that sort of thing before, but I think the way you worded it is so easy to comprehend. But it's like, I think people like get stuck on like there's only one way to get to my dream, and there's really a gazillion ways.
We've talked about that.
Like. It's like the map.
Versus the landscape.
Yeah.
That's from
Look at the landscape,
the
not
weird.
the map. Yeah.
The weird will inherit the earth. Is that the book that's from?
Yeah, the freaks will inherit the earth.
Will inherit the earth.
Yeah, that's a book
Okay.
that I was reading.
And speaking of books, I've been reading. I finally finished this book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And this guy is just talking all about these money-making opportunities that he's found himself in that anybody could experience and do.
Give us a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one of them was he actually goes to estate sales and like foreclosures and auctions, and then he buys property. And the property, you actually only have to put 10% down. So there'll be like a house that's it's probably worth $100K, but they're going to try to get rid of it, so they're going to sell it for $75K. It's literally worth $100, but they'll sell it for $75. The bank's doing it, and then he'll borrow like $7,500 from a friend, and then he'll be like, I'll give you 8 in 2 weeks or something like that. Then he'll give him the $7,500, get the house, put it on the market, and say, I have a house and I'll sell it to you for $85. And then and people are like, oh my God, it's worth $100. I'll buy it for sure. And these people got this house that's worth $15,000 more. He gets $10K. He didn't do anything, and then he pays his friend back like within the time he said. And his friend's out. He actually takes his friend out to dinner. Actually.
So the $7,500 is to fix the house up. I'm taking.
It's just to buy it. It's just
over the down payment.
Just the down payment, and then he does all this stuff in just flow. And there's like a lot of like interesting things like that. The guy's like, then I took that money, and then he just keeps rolling it into stuff. And eventually he had, I think he had started essentially with $5,000 and ended up with $1 million over 6 trades.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that was
it.
it. That's just so. Is there something like that exists in music? Is there anything like that in music that you know about? Like, it's kind of like, wow, I didn't know that.
Multiple revenue streams is totally striking a chord, and that for me comes through in the school that we do.
Class, like, merchandise, live shows,
new programs. Like we're opening I'm really pushing for the Beat Refinery DJ program. You're talking about DJing, DJ and music production and all that. But in terms of a way of doing it musically, I mean that's what they do with artists, right? You open up a label and you sign an artist to it, and you kind of make the same type of investment and see if you can get them to generate some type of revenue, maybe. It's not novel, but I think it's kind of like the underlying kind of principle for all that. But yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. You know, one of the things as an artist is that we spend our time making music, and many of them, at least my friends, like that's where we stop. You know, we're like, okay, we made it, we feel great. You know, on to the next song. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a complete other beast of an operation that needs to be going on, which is where Matthew's an expert in that, and and I'm and for the first time mature enough to like appreciate that, and or at least recognize it. You know, and move towards it. So I'm not the best person to answer that. I'm kind of
So one of the things that I've noticed, I still play video games. I'm too old to do it. I testify in front of everyone, but I play some of these video games like
on soundtrack. I mean that money is in music. Is in the soundtrack. That
placement, like I'll hear these songs when I'm just like trying to. What team am I going to play for? Am I going to be the Bulls? Am I going to be the Wizards? And then the song's playing, and I'm like, the song is amazing. And
they licensed that.
they put that song in a video game, and I'm like,
and,
what?
yeah, and movies. So then, you know, in movies, soundtrack movies is definitely another area where music can generate income. Like I guess Matthew was just hanging out at the Grammys this
He's
last
always
time.
at the Grammys.
Wow.
Yeah,
Every time I turn around, he's at the
he's at the
Grammys.
Grammys again, right? Totally. And he came back from there saying, hey, you know, actually, he was asking good questions to the people around him and saying, you know, where's the money at these days? Like, how does music make money, right? Because it's changed so drastically. And the answer is like films as well, you know, films. And so there's another area where music is kind of like, can flip a good coin, if you will.
Be in the industry, not the job.
That's a
Look
great
at the
note.
landscape, not the map.
Yeah. Exactly.
So there's this other term that I've been playing with, and it's called like the infinite truth. And the infinite truth is basically the actual like reality, no matter what. No, there's like no way around it. The infinite truth.
Yeah, that's.
Is there such? I mean, can you get to the infinite truth?
The goal is to always try to get to understand what the infinite truth is, and then to be authentic and honest with yourself, so that you can be as close to the infinite truth as possible.
Your internal truth.
Yeah, and then there's also the truth that exists, like, because you know people say perception is reality.
Sure.
So that's like, okay, cool, that's cool. Let's put this right here. But then there's also a whole other group of people that say, no, reality is reality. There's something in between that's actually like the real truth, right? There's somewhere in between that.
But as long as humans are determining or trying to define reality,
Gatekeepers, yeah.
Like we're so fallible and our perceptions are all unique. So I don't know if we can ever get to the infinite reality.
But if we can try to, we can kind of like.
We need a robot.
You know, we do this game called Mind Meld.
Robot.
Like Jen and I play this game like, you know, a couple times a month with our friends, where we stand together and we face each other, and then somebody else will go 1, 2, 3, and then both people looking each other in the eyes have to say a word, the first thing that pops in their mind. And then they do it 3 times, and the first time they'll be like banana, and then somebody will say bed, and then the next time somebody they'll say stripper, and then they'll say underwear, and then the third thing they go banana hammock. You know, they'll say banana hammock, and then that's a mind meld, right?
Sure.
So if we can meld these like things all together, we can ultimately, you know,
at least feel the connection.
Have a true voice, yes.
At least feel a connection, so that you're not you're like, all right, at least we're connected.
Right.
And if you can understand that, then you're not divided, and that's it. It's really like
just finding the commonality and just staying on that island, staying on your common island.
And at least knowing that that's where we stand.
Sure.
If I know that I'm standing in the place, you know, but I appreciate that, you know, like you stand on a place where you understand and recognize that you're connected, and people can't divide you.
Right, and I bet
that's all it is. You can be different all day, you know. I don't want you to be like me at all.
Right, I was just thinking,
we
probably have 3 different religious views.
Sure.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know. Are you open about your religion?
Oh, totally.
If you have one.
Yeah. No, I mean, so what I studied, I minored in I went to university with asking questions about religion, because having grown up in the international, I was like, what are all these wars? Yeah, what the heck, right? So then I like looked into it, studied, and I ended up kind of staying on that path, taking a lot of Buddhism.
Yeah, I was gonna guess Buddhist.
Yeah, definitely Buddhist really hit me really hard, very profoundly. 18, right at that age, boom, and just like great professor. So I was like, oh my God. So I hung out and I followed him for the rest of my college life, studying Taoism, studying, you know, like mysticism, all these things that were so refreshing because it was so different from the world that I was in. So I was like, oh my God, it really felt like so refreshing to have like, to learn about a completely new perspective that was so full and vital and rich and like, you know, it had so much to offer me.
Yeah.
So that took a lot of like, so I did, you know, so that's a big part of what I do. But you know, I grew up, my father's from Lebanon, Greek Orthodox, like, you know, and I got to go to Lebanon and go to those old churches that are like so old. It's like you walking, like, oh my God, so much history. It's totally like blows the mind. It blew my mind. I was very kind of overwhelmed as a kid.
You can feel that history when you go into buildings like that.
Oh yeah, and then so that definitely probably also helped me move towards asking certain types of questions, you know, about truth and stuff like that. You know, and it, you know, so yeah, I mean, and then we share ideas with a lot of people. I like, you know, to hear what they have to say, their perspectives. Go ahead.
I had an opportunity today when I was substitute teaching, and it was just me, and there was like 10 kids in this class. There's so few kids that you could really handle it. You can actually break things down to them. And our topic, we were going through a packet, and they were like, "Could you just read it to us?" And I'm a really good reader when you compare me to like other teachers.
Yeah, okay.
So I start reading, and what we're reading about is what a supernova is.
Right.
And ultimately, like, I'm reading this to the kids out loud, and I'm trying to read it like Neil deGrasse Tyson with like some flow and some like, you know, some intonation.
Got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, and then
You can do it.
we were breaking it down, and I was like, everything that exists in the entire universe is elements from the periodic table that came from the explosion of any supernova. And that's like a sentence, and I'm supposed to say this to fourth graders.
Wow.
And I was like, I am so happy to have this opportunity to say this to them, because their heads are like, ah! It's like they're on a roller coaster, and they're going straight down, and you're like, ah! But it's one of those kind of like, I'm like, wow, this is cool. This is cool.
It's great. There's so much there, and then, you know, and it opens up a lot of relationships in my life that are kind of on that. You know, like I got the yogi instructor cats that are like digging deep into this. I mean, they're like in it. They're in it to win it all day, all night. You know, physically too, not just talking about it. They're like, you know, and but then very personable. You know, you know, they're the dude next to you at the cafe. And so it makes for really interesting conversations, because you can spend like a lifetime talking about this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll never figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll never really have all
You know,
the
it's like a metaphor. I think what I'm starting to understand is like, it's like a metaphor. You see it from like the first floor of a building, and then you think about it, you talk about it, next thing you know, you're seeing it from a third floor. Looking in the same direction, but you're just having a greater understanding about it, you know, and it's just like, it builds upon itself until, you know, ultimately.
Because there's so many different people. Like, if you look back, like, I'm not the same person I was yesterday.
Right.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I would have told you, I'll never have a big dog that drools all over the house. No, not me. And now
I swear, I think you were telling me something like, you're like, I'm not going to get another dog after this, because she's had a few rescue dogs, and some of them are kind of...
I had, like, well, we lost 2 dogs kind of close to each other last year.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I can't do this again, I can't do this again.
And now you have a dog that's like 10 of those dogs combined.
Yeah, and you know, with the giant dogs, and here I am, I'm like, I can't deal with another dog death, and then we adopt this dog, and his lifespan is like 8 to 10 years.
Because he's so giant.
Because they're so big, they don't live very long. I'm like, oh my god, he's already old, and he's only 3.
You're not, and you're definitely not the same person, because you, like, Jen's lost a ton of weight, and
oh god,
she never needed to, but she did it anyway.
No, I didn't need to.
Yeah. So I mean, but people are constantly changing.
Always
It's crazy.
Always changing. We're different all the time. Miss, I'm wondering, what are you afraid of? What are your fears?
I mean, I do
know.
I mean, honestly, I think because
Spiders.
Not a fan of blood, but you know, I honestly, the biggest fear is of fear. You know, I don't want fear to stop me. I've really had to like commit myself to visions that are way outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah. And
the only way to even fathom that step and taking it is to not be afraid. And I found that when I do that, you know, it's very, you know, that's you know, the fruit is there. You know, it's like, so I got to keep on pushing through, even when I have kind of like an instant, you know.
Like, give me an example of like a fear that you have to push through.
You know, like starting again on the East Coast. When the West Coast went down, I was like afraid of that. So do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay? Do I go? Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go. I have to just.
Nobody's telling you the
no
right
one's telling me
answer.
the right answer. I just gotta like go with the lead.
So that's how you ended up back here, because
That's
this
how I
seems to
ended
be
up
sort of
back
your home base. Because you've been all over the world, so I imagine you've been to places that you would consider moving to.
Sure,
maybe.
Yeah, places I'd love to spend many, you know, days
Tell us where we should move.
Where should
Okay, Tim and I just got kicked out of Northern Virginia. Where should we go?
Where should we go? The Caribbean.
I love the Caribbean. Like, what part of the Caribbean?
My mom's from
Colombia.
Colombia.
Is that right?
Colombia.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. The world is. I mean, it's like what you like to eat. It's so depends what you want.
We have a connection to
so
Costa Rica, and I have never been there, but I love sloths. They're like my spirit animal. So it's on my bucket list, Costa Rica. So tell me about this indigenous tribe, the Bribris.
Bribris, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit because you were part of this documentary, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And so they are an indigenous tribe that's basically losing their habitat to deforestation and development. So their environment that they've been for who knows how long is just shrinking.
Sure.
And nobody, like, except for you, gives a darn. A documentary filmmaker.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with that?
I was studying environment and resource management that was my major, and I was minoring in East Asian studies. Okay, so I was always no, just because like to backtrack to what I was saying, I had studied that, followed that professor. So I was studying the environment, and I was like, I remember the moment like clear as day. I was like, hey, I have a question, and my question in the class was like, why are these indigenous cultures not being represented on like a legal form, in, like in Canada? There was some type of like way that they were just not being recognized as like legitimate somehow.
Okay.
And the teacher got so excited, so like and because it was a good question, like there was a complete body of people that were being suppressed. But it was a genuine interest. It wasn't a reaction to suppression. It was kind of, hey, the world is on fire, and these have been people that have existed with the world for a long time.
Yes. I
I think they're going to be very crucial in being vital to the resuscitation of what I see as like a bad situation on Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So that was where it started. So I was like, okay, these guys have to be engaged in this process. So like it was one of those things that kind of lit me up. And I think it all started there, I guess. Because then I ended up going to Costa Rica to do volunteer work in my third year. And I did volunteer work with the Ministry of Environment and Energy in Costa Rica.
Did you hold a sloth?
I have held this sloth.
Oh my God.
Fun fact on sloths in Costa Rica, the 10,000 colones note has a sloth on it. Did you see that?
Costa Rica loves their sloths. They take good care of them there.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
It's
I had no
the
idea.
best animal on the planet.
They are so chill.
They're so
Oh my God, I
chill. We
love
could
them.
learn so much from them.
Yeah, Zootopia, great.
You don't need to rush around.
Yeah, slow down.
Yeah, go upside down.
Hang out.
They do everything upside down.
Oh, hang out.
Are there any mind techniques that you do? Any habits of mind? Any mental?
Meditate. I meditate.
You meditate.
Yeah.
How
Sure.
do you meditate? Like, what's what forms of meditation do you do, and then how do you do yours? Yeah, give us
various
a couple.
kinds. Like it depends. Sometimes I'll I've explored with mantras. So it's like a collection of sounds that have meaning in other languages that kind of resonate in a certain kind of way and help kind of get you to a certain type of vibration. So I've done that. I like to do just quiet meditations where or even guided meditations. I think are my new thing. I love it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no,
There's
it's
apps now that really good apps. now.
fantastic apps. Yeah, my wife does it a lot of all that. She does a lot of subconscious work too. So guided imagery is a great way to kind of just like let go of the wheel and trust someone to take you to a higher, better place. And so I do guided imagery. I'll just do quiet meditations, or I'll just do my breathing techniques, which is I get just breathing techniques, which slow it down and focus on my thoughts or clear my mind.
I think this is super important for people who are, because a lot of these techniques they spill over into like business. Like there's always like
the mind is the most powerful thing that we have, and I learned more and more about it, and once I've started to realize the power of the mind, I just want to do the best I can by myself by it.
Yeah.
So meditation is a huge helping hand in getting me to where
Don't
a
they
better
say-
life.
yeah.
It manifests what we want, and it it starts with your intention
With your brain.
and with your brain and your mind is so crazy.
Don't they say you only use like 20% of your brain?
A lot of people
It's
do.
like something weird,
Yeah.
like a really low number. Like, what is the other 80% capable of?
Yeah.
I could think I could fly.
it's just making up excuses for shit. That's procrastinating. I need it, bro. I need it. Oh my god. So I've been doing
What have you been doing?
I got this kettlebell workout video a while back, and then like you buy the video, and then you're like, finally I'll start doing it after like 2 years. It's all dusty and shit. So in the beginning of it, it's got this thing. It's called the 5 Tibetan Rites.
Okay.
And the very first one is you just put your arms like straight out, akimbo, I guess is what they call it, and then you just spin 21 times
You
clockwise.
made me do this. I couldn't do it because I got so dizzy.
It's like the twirling dervishes.
I guess so.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly like
Yeah, and it's supposed to align your chakras by like spinning you,
Sure.
and then I swear to you, if you do it every day, like by day 6, your balance gets way better.
Really?
Your balance
I've
gets
not
so
heard of
much
that.
better by spinning every morning, 21 clockwise spins.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them. It's like the 5 Tibetan rites. You do them every morning.
Yeah.
I started doing them, and
It's a little bit of a workout.
it takes like 11 minutes to do all the exercises,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
honestly, my whole day is supercharged, and I don't have to like do like a true workout. I kind of
Yeah.
just keep myself limber and.
Sure.
Where world can they find you out there in the
Oh.
world?
Well, you can find me out. We're online, ambassadorsofmorning.com.
Yep.
Morning like the sunrise, the social media.
Not in sadness.
Not in sadness and sunrise, yeah. And we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook.
What's your Twitter handle?
What is my Twitter handle?
Only Tim knows it.
It's at AMOFMORNING. Am of morning. Ambassadors of morning.
Yes.
There you go.
And we have show notes associated with other episodes, so we'll link everything, but in case somebody's writing notes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And
then,
we can buy your music.
Yeah, everywhere. So it's everywhere. iTunes, it's online, it's very accessible. And
Can we see you perform somewhere?
yeah, I'm going to be playing at Jam and Java.
Jam and Java, nice.
Yeah, in June.
That's
Yeah, dates are on
awesome.
the website.
Okay, I'll have to look that
And
up.
I think I'm
Great
going to
venue.
play a couple of shows in Nashville in July.
Hell yeah.
Nashville.
Hell
Yeah. And I've got an exciting video that's coming out. Video coming out.
You have a videographer here
Yeah,
today, which
videographer,
I'm
right?
so impressed.
Yeah.
Zach.
Zach.
Big Z.
Absolutely coming through.
Zach could come on the show. Zach's an entrepreneur.
What's up, Zach?
He's a videographer and
Right.
photographer and videographer. And
Also world traveler. He just came from Thailand. Where was it?
whoa, that's far away.
New Zealand.
New
It's
Zealand, even
the
further.
waterfall's beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, I have to live vicariously through people. I'm afraid to fly.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Get on the
Really?
road trip.
You know that. I am so afraid to fly.
But you do. Like,
Occasionally,
Yeah.
but I worry about it the
Yeah.
second I book a flight. And I can
Really?
only go on 3-hour or less flights
Yeah, or less.
before I really start losing it.
I wanted to tell you, Musa, I used to live in India for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, I lived in India for 2 years. I went to the American Embassy School.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've lived overseas. I
Nice.
went to an
You know
international
what I'm
school.
talking about?
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
where I grew up.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
And that
I've
kind
been
of
to
bubble.
Canada.
Yeah.
So
I haven't left the U.S. since I was 15.
Mhm.
So
The U.S.
Just got
is
back from the
phenomenal.
Outer Banks.
So from the West Coast to the East Coast, I've driven it a bunch of times because we had a dog and we didn't want to put her in the plane, so we
see
went
you
to drive. So we drove.
This is why pet owners are
Yeah.
good people.
And it was beautiful. We did like going from the West Coast, following national parks all the way to the
Yes,
Midwest.
that's how you
Oh,
do
wow.
it. That's how you do
So amazing.
it. Did you have
Yeah.
the passport, the national park passport, so you get all your stamps?
No,
Well, that
no,
was a
we
missed
didn't really know what we were.
Jeez, maybe people feel bad about good things.
You have to do it again.
Do it again, try it again. Yeah, it was great. Yellowstone, awesome spot.
Nice, nice. This was awesome. I'm
This was
so
good
glad
podcast.
to
Thanks.
have you join us
I
today.
appreciate you giving me some time and asking me deep questions.
Well,
But yeah,
No dolphin question this episode. I don't want to spoil it.
No, I'm not going to spoil
Okay,
it.
good.
Maybe we can tell you're a deeper type
Yeah,
of person.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
we wanted
sure.
to bring our A
okay,
game.
well I appreciate it.
did.
Oh, you guys hit it. Yeah, and I appreciate it. Enjoy the music. It's live, 14 tracks. We have some really cool musicians on this record. Again, because when I was like syncing with it and then getting back into the studio, I was like, oh my god, like okay, I'm gonna pull all of the people that I can and people around me that I was introduced to because I was like the
Wow.
new fish out here.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, cool. And they would like lend themselves like, so this video that we just finished filming is for Eternal Glow featuring Deborah Bond, who's like doing a lot of stuff in DC. Is very
Yeah.
active, which is great. So we just finished filming that, but now with this Dance with Destiny kind of taking off in Australia, we kind of put forward a motion to maybe move something on that
Yeah.
one. So we got a lyric video on that one in development.
I think you have a dance with destiny.
Yeah, you're doing
And
great.
you are taking the lead.
Heck yeah, and if you have any kids in Bristow, Virginia,
Yeah,
or
come
up
check
in
it out.
Ellicott City, Maryland,
Yep.
Bop to Rock.
Rock to Rock, yeah, we're
They're a
there.
musician on. It's very important. They're not doing enough music in schools, so
Oh, it's-
don't be a bad parent and allow your children music.
The opportunity of music.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It helps their math skills. That's what I've heard.
I heard that too.
Anyway, thanks for everything, JellyVisionaries. We will talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace.